We continue now at the top of Daf Daled Amud Aleph in Mesechet Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 4a. On the previous Amud there was a machlokas tanoim, whether by dinei mamanis you need 3 judges or whether you need 5 judges. The Rabbanan say you need 3 judges, and Rebbe says you need 5 judges, and the source for Rebbe that you need 5 judges ultimately comes down to the word Yarshion in the pasuk. The word Yarshion is in plural. We learn out from there that Elohim, it means to say 2. It says Elohim twice, which is 4, and you can't have an even number of judges, and that ended up being 5. And the Gemara now continues v'Rabbanan. Now the Rabbanan respond to that. Yarshion ksiv. It's written Yarshion without the vav, meaning it's written in a fashion that appears to be singular, and therefore we do not make the drasha of Rebbe. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef, Amar Rav Yochanan. Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef says that Rav Yochanan says, Rebbe v'Rav Yehuda ben Roetz, uveis Shammai v'Rav Shimon v'Rav Akiva. Rebbe and Rav Yehuda ben Roetz and Beis Shammai and Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva, Kulu Svira Lahu, they all hold Yeshem Lemikra, that we follow the way the Psukim are read and not the way they are written. And the Gemara continues and explains, Rebbe Hada Amran, Rebbe, like we just said, he understands Yarshion the way it is read, which is in the plural form. For Rabbi Yehuda ben Roetz and Rabbi Yehuda ben Roetz Titania, because we learned in the following Brisa. Shalu Talmidim es Rabbi Yehuda ben Roetz, the students, they asked Rabbi Yehuda ben Roetz, Ekra ani Shivim, I can read the pasuk as Shivim as 70. This is referring to when it says that if a woman gives birth to a girl, it says she is tamei for shvuayim, for 2 weeks. And so they say to Rabbi Yehuda ben Roetz, you can really read that she's tamei for shivim, for 70 days. Yachol tehei yoledes nekeva tamei shivim. I might think that a yoledes nekeva, a woman who gives birth to a girl, that she's going to be tamei for 70 days. Amar lehen, he said back to them, timei v'tiher b'zocher. We have days of tumah and days of tahara when a woman gives birth to a boy. V'timei v'tiher b'nekeva. We have days of tumah and we have days of tahara when a woman gives birth to a girl. Ma'keshetir b'zocher b'nekeva kiflayim. Just like the days of purity by a male, so by a female there's actually double the amount of days. Af keshetimei b'zocher, so too when there are days of tumah for a zocher, which are 7 days of tumah, b'nekeva kiflayim. So by a female, if she gives birth to a girl, you have to double it. It's 14 days. That's how we know that it is 2 weeks. But the Brisa continues, La'achar sheyatzu, after the Talmidim went out, Yatzu machzer achareim, Rabbi Yehuda ben Roetz, he went out and he followed them. And Amar lehen, he said to them, Iatem zukukim lakach, you don't need that proof that I just brought, that when she gives birth to a girl, it's double than when she gives birth to a boy. Rather, we can say as follows, Shavuayim karinon v'yeshem lemikra, that the way we read the pasuk is Shavuayim is 2 weeks, and what we follow is the way that the psukim are read, and so therefore, again, we don't understand it as Shivim, we understand it as Shavuayim. And the Gemara continues, Beis Shammai, where do we see that Beis Shammai hold Yesh Eim Lemikra, that we follow the reading of the pasuk? Titnan, as we learned in a Mishnah, this is a Mishnah in Meseches Vachim. Beis Shammai Omer and Beis Shammai say, Kol hanitonin al mizbeach achitza, on all karbonos, where you place the blood on the outer mizbeach, shenitnan b'matana achas kiper. Even one presentation of the blood is enough for a kapara, for an atonement. Uvechatos, however, by a carbon chatos, shtei matanos, there you need 2 presentations of the blood on the mizbeach achitza for a kapara. Ubeis Hillel Omer and Beis Hillel say, Af even by a carbon chatos, if it's nitnon b'matana achas, just one presentation of blood, that's enough for the atonement. V'yamar Rav Huna, and Rav Huna says, my time at the Beis Shammai, what's the reason of Beis Shammai? Karnos, 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 it says in the pasuk, the corners, the corners, the corners, when it talks about putting the blood on the corners of the mizbeach, and each one is read in the plural form, so each one is 2. Harei kan sheish, that comes out to 6 presentations of blood. Arba lemitzvah, we understand that 4 of those are for a mitzvah, meaning they should be done lechatchila, ushtayim la'akev, but 2 of them, those are absolutely required, even after the fact. If you don't do 2 of them, there will not be a kapara, according to Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel Omer, Beis Hillel say, karnos, 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 that the way it's written is what we follow. One of them is written with a vav, that's plural, and the other 2 are written without a vav, and so therefore it's 2, 1, and 1, harei kan arba, that's a total of 4 presentations, and the way Beis Hillel understands, gimel mitzvah, 3 of those are as a mitzvah lechatchila, v'yachas la'akev, and one of them is ma'akev, that if it's not done, then there is no kapara. That's the machlokus between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, and you see over here that Beis Shammai is following Yesh Eim Lemikra, is following the way that the words are read, and Beis Hillel is following the way that the words are written. And the Gemara continues, Ve'ema kulhu lemitzvah. Well, why not say that they're all as a mitzvah lechatchila, and maybe you get the kapara even if there's no presentations of blood? And to that the Gemara says, kapara b'chti lo eshkachan. We don't find that there's a kapara in atonement for nothing. There certainly has to be at least some presentation of the blood on the mizbeach. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Shimon, where do we see that Rabbi Shimon holds the Yeshem Lemikra, that we follow the way the words are read? Titania, as we learned in a Brisa, Shtayim Kilchasan Ushlishas Hafilu Tefach, by Sukkah, 2 of the walls need to be full walls, and the third can just be a Tefach. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, Shalosh Kilchasan, 3 of the walls need to be full walls, Uravias Hafilu Tefach, and the 4th wall can just be a Tefach. And the Gemara says, "B'mai kamiflagi." What are they arguing about? Rabbanan savri yeshem lemesoros. Rabbi Shimon savri yeshem lemikra. The Rabbanan hold that we follow the way the words are written. Rabbi Shimon says we follow the way the words are read. And the Gemara explains as follows: Rabbanan savri yeshem lemesoros. The Rabbanan hold that we follow the mesoros the way it's written, because the way it's written is besukos, besukos, besukos. One of them is plural with a vav. The other two are singular. Harei kan arba, that comes out to a total of 4. Dal chad kra lagufe. Now one of them we can remove because that's needed just to teach us the mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah itself. Pashu lehu tzalas, and so therefore what remains is 3. And asay hilchas garata l'shlishis, and the halacha l'Moshe Sinai comes along and says that the 3rd wall of the 3 walls, the 3rd wall only has to be 1 tefach. V'ukimta tefach, again, we can say it's smaller, it doesn't have to be a full wall, it could just be a tefach. Rabbi Shimon savar, Rabbi Shimon holds basukos, 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 that we follow the way it's read, and it's read as plural, and so therefore you have 2, 2, and 2, harei kan sheish, that's a total of 6. Dal chad kra lagufe, we can remove 1 pasuk because it's needed to teach the mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah itself. Pashu lehu arba, so we have remaining 4. Asay hilchas garata l'revias v'ukmei atafach. The halacha l'Moshe Sinai comes and says that 4th wall, it doesn't need to be a full wall, even if it is just a tefach, that is sufficient. And so again we see Rabbi Shimon holds yesh aim lemikra. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Akiva, from where do we know that Rabbi Akiva holds yesh aim lemikra, that we follow the way the psukim are read? The Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa, Rabbi Akiva Omer, Rabbi Akiva says, minayin l'revias dam, from where do we know that a quarter of a lug of blood, sheyatza mishnei mesim, that even if it comes from 2 different dead bodies, shemitami ba'oel, that there's tumas oel from that blood. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, I'll call navshos meis lo yavo, it says navshos meis, so therefore it's read in plural. Shtei nefashos, we understand from 2 people, from 2 souls, even that is going to be mitami ba'oel v'shir echad, and you're following the same shir of a revias dam, of a quarter of a lug of blood, even if it's coming from 2 bodies. For Rabbanan, now the Rabbanan respond, nafshos ksiv, the way it's written is without the vav, it's written in singular, and so therefore we do not learn out this idea of mishnei mesim, that it's mitame ba'ohel. But the Gemara continues, Maskifla Rav Acha bar Yaakov. Rav Acha bar Yaakov asks the following question: Mi'iko de lesla yeshem lemikra. Is there anyone that does not hold yeshem lemikra, that we follow the reading? It has to be that we follow the reading. V'atanya, but we learned in a brisa b'chalei v'imo, it says you cannot cook the young goat in the milk of its mother. Yachol b'chelev. Now I might think that we should say it means chelev, in the fat of its mother. And Rashi explains, b'chalei v'imo yachol b'chelev imo, it might mean in the fat of its mother. Aval b'cholov mutter levashel, but maybe in milk it would be mutter to cook the meat. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Dalid Amud Beis.